Hi, everybody. Welcome back to White Knowledge is Power, Understanding Racism in America and Why White People Should Know Black History. Today, I'm going to talk about and compare the cases of Dylann Roof versus John Crawford III. I'll give you a little bit of background about both cases and then share my thoughts about them. So, Dylann Roof is someone you probably have heard of or remember hearing the name, at least. Back in 2015, he was a 21-year-old white boy who shot up a African-American Episcopal church in South Carolina. He ended up killing 9 people, and he fled, and he was caught the next day in North Carolina at a traffic stop. Police took him in without incident. They interrogated him where he gave a full confession. They even gave him Burger King as a meal. I know that cops have to provide, bathroom breaks, food, water, and everything to a suspect so that there's no way that they can say that they weren't given their rights as humans during interrogation so that the case can be thrown out. So I understand that they had to feed him, but he just killed 9 people. Why are you giving him Burger King? Can you just give him like something cheap from the store or vending machine food or something like that? Like, this seems like specific special treatment to me. It seems really odd and strange and not right. All of the people he killed were Black. He killed 9 people, just to reiterate that. And he specifically targeted the church that he did because of its history tied to African Americans. He was hoping to start a race war. He had a manifesto that was published online. He had this website that he was the owner of that was littered with white supremacy memorabilia, neo-Nazism, clearly a hateful young man. And for all intents and purposes, he was treated with respect by the police, in my opinion. Switching over to the case of John Crawford III, he was a 22-year-old Black man in Ohio who was shopping at a Wal-Mart one day, and he was in the sporting goods section, and he saw an unpackaged BB/airsoft gun. He picked that up, and then he continued to shop around the store, and he was on his cell phone talking, carrying this thing around. And apparently someone in the store named Ronald Ritchie called 911 and said that he had been pointing the gun at other customers. And so dispatch sent 2 police officers over to Walmart. The police officers came in. They said that he didn't respond to verbal commands, and so that's why they fired 2 shots at him, one in the torso, one in the arm, and it ended up killing him. He died from his injuries. That's what the police said. Now, the surveillance footage shows that John Crawford was just talking on his phone in the pet supplies aisle. He was alone. He had the little BB airsoft gun on his side. He was kind of swinging it back and forth, was on the phone. It kind of just looked like he was like humming or something, like da-da-da-da, just shopping, perusing the aisles. And then you see him hit the ground and crawl away. You see an officer come in under the camera to go forward to him. You see Crawford come back around to try to run away. He's no longer holding the gun. He dropped it when he got hit the first time. He comes around the corner. He sees the police aiming the gun at him, and he turns to run away, because who doesn't run away from a gun in their face? And they shoot him again and they kill him. Not only that, but Ronald Ritchie, the guy who called 911, actually recanted what he said happened and said that, oh no, he didn't point it at anybody else in the store. He was just waving it around. There's no surveillance footage that has been released that shows anything of that kind. And the surveillance footage that I watched, not one iota of that was true. But he ended up dying for it. Not only that, but his girlfriend, they interrogated her aggressively to see if he had any intention of shooting anybody in the store. And she didn't even know he had died when she was being interrogated. That sounds absolutely dreadful to me. So we have two young men, 21-year-old white man, Dylann Roof, and a 22-year-old black man, John Crawford III. One is alive on death row with 33 counts of conviction, and one is dead. How can we trust the police if they're not fair across the board? How can we have justice if someone who shoots up a church during Bible study and kills 9 Black people can just be taken into custody with no big deal and be fed Burger King? And then on the other hand, have this 22-year-old Black man walking around a store shopping, getting killed. To watch the surveillance footage of Crawford being shot is really eye-opening because it was an immediate shooting. If he had been white, he would have been given a chance to drop the weapon. He would have been given a chance to explain what was happening. He would have been taken into custody. He would have been handcuffed perhaps and taken away in a police car and then released if they found out, oh, he was just holding a BB gun or an airsoft gun. But because he was Black, it was let's shoot on sight. No. This is not okay. The police are supposed to be here to protect us and to defend justice. They're supposed to be held to the highest accountability of anyone in the land. Government officials, judges, the president, police officers, these people should be held to the highest of standards. So you tell me why the police officers that shot John Crawford III weren't indicted. A grand jury decided not to bring up any charges, and the guy who shot John Crawford was fully reinstated. What? What? If that is not blatant racism, tell me what is. And once again, the 911 call that was placed against John Crawford III was a lie. I understand that you have to take every call seriously, but you have to gather information before action when you're dealing with people's lives. It just blows my mind that Dylann Roof is sitting in a cell awaiting execution on death row for the murder of all of these Black people, while this poor, young, innocent Black man was shot on sight for shopping. We have to do better. We have to do better. There has to be accountability. We can't keep letting these people get off scot-free. That officer should have been fired and charged. There's no excuse. There's a lot of stories like this that I can use to compare, and I will do more of these. But the reason I wanted to compare Dylann Roof and John Crawford was because they were about the same age. And the differences in how they were treated are just so stark and abhorrent. If you decide to watch any surveillance footage, I will tell you that Dylann Roof's interrogation and confession is available to view. He laughs during his confession several times, which is very disturbing. And the surveillance footage of John Crawford, it's just incredibly heartbreaking. I cannot imagine the fear that he had. He probably knew he was going to die. It is graphic. It shows him being shot right there on the camera. So I do want to put a disclaimer that it is hard to watch. It's my opinion, though, that it's important to watch these things. It's important to watch the violence because it gives you the reality of what's happening. I think it's respectful to the memory of those who are taken from us in this kind of violent way to watch their last moments, not out of gratuitousness or out of any kind of entertainment, my gosh, but I think it's honoring their lives and the sacrifice and the life that was taken away. So even though it is incredibly hard and painful to watch, I think it's important to watch. We have to do better. We cannot continue to live in such a hate-filled world. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I appreciate you taking the time. Please like, subscribe, share so we can get this information out. Let's create conversation. Let's do everything we can to make sure that this stops happening. There are so many cases that I could have used to compare Dylann Roof to that I had to just pick one. There shouldn't be that many. There shouldn't be any. But I had to scroll through lists of Black men killed by police to find one that I wanted to compare the Dylann Roof case to just for this episode. I don't want to scroll. I don't want to have any of these facts available. I don't want this to exist. So let's do something about it. Let's educate ourselves. Let's educate others. Let's have compassion. Find the humanity in this country. And let's end racism together.